Gordon, if Hollywood were going to make a movie about a football game, they've got all the inspiration they need from that one, don't they?
Yeah, you had the great actors, which were, they can turn around the other way actually, you had the great characters in it, which were the Scotland team, and then you had the poor actors, which is the Serbia team. I'll get to that later on, but because Scotland and Steve and his group, his staff, must have decided that Serbia are not good at passing the ball from the back. And if you let them do that, they'll feel confident because they've got an arrogance about them. But Steve's team made sure that didn't happen. So they pushed up on them. And every time Scotland nicked the ball from them, they grew, they got stronger, they felt good about themselves, and they got closer and they got closer. Serbia, with their arrogance, decided that we're a passing team, we'll play from the back. Doesn't matter what Scotland are doing. But every time Scotland took the ball from them, 40 yards from goal, they got weaker. So it became that Scotland got stronger, they got weaker, and their arrogance, again, I keep talking about it because it come through. Scotland played with humility and a determination and understanding what it needs to. Serbia went, well, we play this way, and you're no good enough to stop us. Wrong. Scotland were more than adequate to stop them. And from winning the ball, if you see the goal, it was winning the ball in their area where most teams would have chipped it forward. Serbia went, well, Scotland are not very good. Yes, we are. We went to win the ball. Great football with the two Celtic lads, and you've got a goal. But that was all down to the bravery and planning from Steve to make sure that we pushed up against. I don't think Serbia have been pressed that much at home, ever. I might be wrong. I've not studied Serbia that much. But Steve has obviously done it. The other way Steve went through it is if you notice, the goalkeeper never passed the ball from a goal kick. It always went long for Dykes to go and fight with the Serbian centre backs. And that's clever, because most people say, well, you have to win games of football, you have to pass from the goalie. No, you don't. You have to find out where there's a weakness in teams. And Steve has looked at the Serbian side and went, your weakness is you don't let anybody physical against you. I think they're used to teams playing up against them, try to play through them where they can read it and be nice and pass it back to the goalkeeper. Scotland says, no, you're going to have to defend physically. And if Dykes gets the ball at his chest and brings players into it, brilliant, we'll do it that way. If it's flick-ons, if you notice the flick-ons, Christie and McGinn were getting in, going for these. So it was all planning. People think that's a long pass. And it's easy. It's no, you have to work it where you are on the knockdowns and understand where the ball's going to go. So that was worked on. So I thought that was clever. And every time Serbia got close to Scotland in the half, Scotland went, oh, we will just play it forward. And they went, oh, that means I've got to run back. So it was everything against what Serbia, how they would like the game to be played. Scotland played it exactly the right way for them in that game.
After Ryan Christie's very well taken goal, it was real heart in mouth stuff though. Gordon, come on.
I honestly sat there thinking, we've got to score again. I generally thought we were going to score again, because I think at that point Serbia were gone. They didn't have a clue how to beat Scotland, how to get through. There was nothing going on in front of David. It's only when it went into extra time that they went, oh, we're still in this. I honestly thought Scotland could have won by 2 or 3 at that point. And it wasn't it's not that Scotland went back. Scotland kept coming forward. Obviously in the last 5 minutes, and you can hear commentators saying, oh, you need to be further up the pitch. No, you can't, because they've started loading the ball into our box now. It's a bit different. And that's when the boys took over. I thought Gallagher stood his ground anytime the ball went up. And the boys round about him cheering him. McTominay were great. But in fact, there wasn't a weakness in the team at all.
Well, we were just about to get the champagne out the fridge when that late Serbian equaliser came, and it was, metaphorically speaking, like being punched in the face, wasn't
it? Yeah. Well, it was totally unfair at that point, because as I say, I thought Serbia had nothing in the locker that was going to affect Scotland, and very occasionally, and since I was 15. I've not really been a football fan. I've been a football player, football manager, football coach. And I like games, I analyse games like I did last night. But at that point, I I turned into a fan where you smack the settee and go, no. Because at first I thought the ball went past the post. I thought, oh, that's great. So there's very rarely times when I become a fan, as being in the football this long. But at that point, you turned into a fan. And you think, no, this can't be right. These boys have worked too hard for this. This is wrong.
It must have taken a huge amount of mental resolve for the lads to regroup after that late equaliser. What do you think Steve Clarke said to them?
He's probably said, this is truly unfair on you guys. But I've got to say, if there's footballing gods at the moment, they will look after you again. But their preparation, their determination got them through that. I think that as a group, they got them through that, because it could have been a bit scary for the coach, because at that time, Christie and McGinn were off, who'd played fantastically well. And it was a bit of pressure on the guys that come on, because they looked at the game and went, we were brilliant, and I've come on, and we've just lost a goal. But the guys have got to get it together again and hang in there. So there's different mental pressures on different groups of players out there. The subs that come on think, oh, geez. The manager think, should have took these guys off. So there's pressure, but they dealt with it brilliantly. And I think because they've been through scrapes recently, Scotland, with penalties and not playing that great against Wales, there've been a lot of scrapes and they've got through it. So that's built up to this kind of camaraderie they had. And another thing that people might tend to forget, I think Scotland were physically far better than Serbia. Physically far better. And I think that blew the Serbians away, how Scotland got to the number of times people, McGinn and Christie got through, McTominay and Jack holding people off. I thought their fitness was fantastic. So it's a thing that I'm huge with in football and fitness. I thought our fitness levels on a heavy pitch were magnificent.
Who's standing out for you? What players really stood out for you on the night, Gordon?
I think it'd be unfair to pick somebody as a great player. But I think the whole system was crucial, that if we needed to play longer passes, Dykes had to either bring the ball under control, flick it on, or get fouls. He did it all night. And there's a point where their centre halves are saying, not again, because as I said to you earlier in the conversation, the ball's getting played through on the ground and intercepting and getting nudged and falling down and getting free kicks. I think Lyndon Dykes was crucial to the way we played. And it wasn't, don't get me wrong, it wasn't all long passes, but a great deal it was long passes, because Scotland knew that they had the energy. If we turned the Serbian guys who were squeezing, they didn't have the energy to get back for the knockdowns, but Scotland had. So I would say the most crucial player, and I'm not saying he's the best, would probably be Lyndon Dykes.
It was a penalty taking clinic from Scotland.
Yeah. People will normally say to you, well, you can't even react, because I took penalties all my career, and it's right to a certain extent that because you always had the crowd, where there's 10,000 behind you waving and putting you off for a noise, so you had to deal with that. So I think the fortunate thing is there's no crowd. There's no crowd there, and you can practice that because there is no crowd when you practice. So, but there is this mental pressure, and I really felt for Ollie McBurney, because I like what I've seen of him when he played under 21s. He had a real work ethic, and he looked like somebody who wanted to move his career on, not just under 21s, but somewhere else. And when he was taking the penalty, I thought, no, he's not scored yet. Oh, dearie. And he must have been thinking that as well, as he's taking the penalty. The whole of Scotland's watching me now thinking, I might be the one that's got to miss this. So that pressure was immense. Now, I think that'll be great for him. That'll be absolutely fantastic for him scoring that penalty.
David Marshall as well, what a hero.
Well, I've known Marsh since he was a young man. And he had actually had that wonderful game in Barcelona before I got to Celtic. And he was unfortunate that Arthur come along and kept him at the team, Arthur Boric. And David went out, and it's great to see people deciding their own future, because too many people blame coaches or something else. David went and asked for a transfer because he wanted to play, which is right. I would love him to stay at Celtic. Been a lot less hassle than Arthur Boric, that's for sure. But he went and decided his own future. So from like these decision making, it gets to a night like this where David stands out. I actually only thought he was tidy and everything, but I think he had one great save, and that's what you need to be a top goalkeeper. So David's pulled out at the right time. But now he has especially got to remember that David had a bad day last Saturday when he gave a goal away from passing from the back at Derby. So I bet he was relieved when Steve says, we're not having this, just you nick it into a striker. So to deal with that problem we had on Saturday and then deal with the game, and when it went to penalties, I thought David's far bigger presence in the goal than the other goalie, far bigger presence.
The importance of this win, Gordon, cannot be underestimated, can it?
No, it's great for everybody. You just realise it today that, and that was the thing with the Scotland, it's that you have the ability to make the whole nation happy, which is fantastic. So that's what that group of lads have done. And there's all these lads that I know very well that were introduced into the team. And I know them very well. So you have that special affinity. But the backroom staff, there's a guy there called Frank Riley. And Frank's been there a long time. But Frank is liaison officer with the players. You know, they're talking about camaraderie and team spirit. Well, Frank has a huge amount to deal with that. So he was the first person I texted last night, was Frank, to say well done, because the work that these people put in behind the scenes is phenomenal.
I'm not too ashamed to say I did dance around my living room a lot. Did you have a little boogie?
You've not seen me dancing. Obviously, there's something wrong with me. No, I had a cup of tea. Watch fitness, people will know when I have a cup of tea, I'm usually celebrating something. I'm going to have a cup of tea now because I was only 3 over par the day at the golf course, so quite delayed.
On that note.
Yeah, 24 hours for Scotsmen everywhere.
Well, listen, you go away and have a wee cup of tea, and we've got a lot to look forward to now, Gordon, don't we?
Oh, well, it keeps everybody ticking over, and hopefully the boys in Rangers and Celtic can keep things ticking over in Europe as well. But that's great. I think it's a magnificent performance from the lads last night. As an 11, it's as good as I've seen when 11 playing as well at the same time.